How's it going everyone, it's me, Vivi, and welcome to another Crash Bandicoot video. In celebration of the 25th anniversary of the series, they announced that Crash 4 is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and the Nintendo Switch on March 12th, 2021. As for the PC version, well, its release date has not been specified yet. It's to be determined, but it is coming to PC on Battle.net. You probably have lots of questions right now. For example, you might say, okay, isn't the PS5 backwards compatible already? What's so different about the PS4 version and the upcoming PS5 version? And you might ask, okay, if I get the next-gen versions on PS5 or Xbox Series X or S, will I be able to transfer my save files, trophies, and achievements? To give you a sigh of relief, yes. By the way, if you own the game already on Xbox One and PS4, you get a free upgrade, except in Japan. Before we dive into the specifics on how the upgrade works, let me share with you the differences between PS4, Xbox, and the next-gen console versions. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X will support 4K resolution with 60 FPS. Now, with the PlayStation 5, not only you get to experience dynamic enhanced 3D audio, but the DualSense's adaptive triggers will also bring this to the table. Feel the DNA change in objects hit by Neo Cortex's blaster, and feel the grip of Tana's hookshot. In Lou Stutter's words, creative producer at Toys for Bob, so you've got Cortex's blaster that blockifies and jellifies enemies to make them into platforms. It really feels like you're pulling the trigger of the blaster. Tana's hookshot is super cool because you get that trigger feel, but then once it goes, in the trigger you actually feel the coiling rope extending out and then impacting before it pulls her to the next location. I love the work the team did with the adaptive triggers. He also added that the game on PlayStation 5 will utilize the Activity Cards system. The press release for Crash 4, well, for this announcement, states the following. PlayStation 5's Activity Card feature will give players a clearer breakdown of their progress throughout each of the game's dimensions, providing guidance to achieve objectives and more. As for the PC version, frame rate will be uncapped, meaning the game's performance will solely depend on your computer specifications. The game will run at 60 FPS when playing with recommended specs. The official blog post for this game shares a couple of screenshots for these next-gen systems. From what we can tell, lighting looks much more defined, meaning the shadows are better distributed. You can even tell, especially looking at this one, just the whole lighting scheme on Crash. It looks different and good. Speaking of differences when looking at the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S footage, while looking at some B-roll footage that's been floating around, there's some major differences that the community has been bringing up. Either there's more detail added to the background, if you pay close attention, or complete aesthetic changes, like this area in particular, how the wall section has been completely changed, or sealed off if you want to put it that way. Alright, now let's get to the juicy stuff. You own the game already, either on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. How exactly does this free upgrade work? Well, according to their fact page, which I'll leave a link in the description by the way, if you own a digital version of Crash 4, you simply log on to the PlayStation Store or Xbox Store, and you'll get a prompt telling you you're eligible for a free upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version or Series X or S version. If you have a physical version, aka the game on disc, well, you have to make sure you own the version of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox with a disc drive. If you own the disc-free editions, it will not work. I repeat, if you have a physical version of Crash 4, it will not work with the disc-free edition of the next-generation console. There's a catch. Although you get a free digital PS5 or Xbox Series X or S upgrade with your disc, the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One disc has to remain in the console in order to play the next-gen version. I take it they did this as to not entice people to sell their previous version on disc. In fact, they didn't want to take a risk, so both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One prices for Crash 4, it's about time. It's the same price tag for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X or S. $59.99 US we're talking about. Same thing, if you think about it. The PlayStation 5 is backwards compatible with PS4. If the PS4 version was cheaper, people would probably buy the cheaper version, not caring about the next-gen enhancements, as long as they get the chance to play Crash, right? That's just my 2 cents on the whole situation. As for the Switch version and PC, I'll get into it later on in the video, so stay tuned. Next question I'm going to answer. So if I don't upgrade to the PS5 version, regardless free or not, if I just keep playing the PS4 version on the PlayStation 5, is there any sort of optimization for that? Well, from the comparison vids I've seen, you get to enjoy faster load times at least. I mean, it's the same for the PS5 enhanced version, of course, faster load times. Next question. How do you transfer your saves? On the PlayStation 4, you simply have to upload your save file to the cloud server. Once you boot up your upgraded version of the game on your PlayStation 5, you simply download that last-gen save you have up on the cloud. As for Xbox players, you simply connect to the internet and the upgraded version of the game will automatically sync with your data. That's if your game is saved to the cloud. If not, there's a bit of a longer process involved. I'll leave a link in the description which will hopefully help you out. Now, by transferring your saved data, PlayStation Lifestyle interview with Activision confirms that your trophies on PlayStation will transfer onto your next-gen console. As for Xbox Series, it should transfer as well, at least according to their support center for games in general. Pre-orders for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X or S is currently not available on those consoles. Instead, if you already own your last-gen version of the game, from the same console family, you'll be eligible for a free next-gen upgrade starting on March 12th. A little fun fact for you before I move on to the Switch and PC versions. Studdert, creative producer at Toys for Bob, confirms that the tattoo design on the surfboard at the beginning of the level on Insanity Beach, well, it is in fact a reference to the Titan's tattoo on Crash, a game released in 2007. Now, Studdert was also shocked, very surprised that fans were so quick to pick up on that, even when looking at the trailers, he was super amazed. Now, the mysterious logo on screen, of course, let's not forget about that one. After 100% completion, it appears, and then Studdert replied by saying he has no idea what we're talking about when it was brought up in an interview. He reiterates that he really doesn't know what we're talking about. Okay. I mean, maybe he's telling the truth, but hey, for us fans, we lean towards a possible rumored PvP game, Wumpa League. Speaking of Wumpa League, the color scheme of this brand new promotional shot? I mean, it looks familiar, orange and blue, With that said, the Nintendo Switch version, which is also coming out on March 12th, well, it is now up for pre-order in select territories with a price tag of $39.99 US. As for why the game on Switch is cheaper, who knows really. Maybe it is to boost sales on the system? It's honestly unknown why they're going this route. Many might be curious about this lower price, especially considering the fact that previous Switch releases had the same price tag. Looking back at Spyro Reignited, when the game released on the Switch pretty much a year later, after its initial launch on PS4 and Xbox, it had the same price as PS4 and the Xbox One version. Which, by the way, the Switch version required a download because the game couldn't fit. It doesn't seem to be the case with Crash 4. Don't worry. Of course, if you're curious about the technical specifications on the Switch, on docked mode, the game runs at 1080 30 FPS. Handheld, the game will run at 720, also at 30 FPS. Looking at some of these screenshots on the Nintendo Switch, it's much more vibrant in color, higher contrast and saturation. Looking at some Nintendo Switch B-roll, it appears that next-gen versions of Crash 4 will have wider hitboxes, specifically for this level with Polar. I take it the small hitbox was, and still is, the bane of everyone's experience with Crash 4's completion aspect. I mean, if you miss one box in this particular area of the level, you have two options. If you're aiming for all crates gem, just redo your run in this sector. You know, restart at a checkpoint. Or, if you're aiming for that perfect relic, which we all love with all of our hearts, you gotta restart the level. It's not fun, it's a pain. I take it this update will also come to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions eventually. Now, the PC version of Crash 4 is currently available to pre-order over on the Blizzard shop, or battle.net in other words. No one knows why they didn't stick to Steam, since both the Insane Trilogy and Reignited released on Steam when looking at the PC versions. Now, by pre-ordering or purchasing on Switch and PC, you get access to Totally Tubular skins as well. You don't really need to pre-order it, it's just if you get the games digitally, you get access to those skins. Lastly, there's no DLC planned for this year, explains Studdert. Their focus is to release Crash 4 on all these different systems. Yep, it appears Toys for Bob is currently lead developer for these console re-releases. So yeah, the whole thing about DLC and stuff, they're not focused on that. So last message from the press release I'd like to add in the video. Fans can expect more information on the PC edition at a later date, along with other fun happenings in celebration of the franchise's 25th anniversary. Does the to-be-determined PC release have anything to do with the 25th anniversary? I mean, it's up in the air, but my guess is that no, they're just currently focused on the PS5 version and Xbox, and Switch of course. But yeah, according to Activision, there's much more in store when it comes to Crash Bandicoot for the 25th anniversary. So yeah, with that being said folks, this is it for the video. All relevant links to interviews and stuff will be in the description below. And yeah, I've been Vivi. Leave your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.